Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you a video on the best weapon in the game, next meta. So this video is going to review the best weapon in the game and its dominance since its release. You probably already know what it is, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to review the best possible weapon or weapons that may be the next super meta to come into the game. So we're about due for another super weapon after a while. So just to make sure we're going off of data, we will also compare this super weapon to others to provide its phenomenal ability to stay on top. Obviously, most of y'all probably know what weapon I'm talking about. The best weapon since its release, the Black Diablo's Bow / Sarah Coilbender. Okay, that's not a surprise. We all know Black Diablo's Bow is the meta super weapon right now. You're either going after this or you already have it, and everyone's either one making fun of you because you're using it, or they're jealous that you have it. I'm in the company to where I have it, and I've spent a ton of resources because I didn't expect to get that far. Well, that's what happens when you play hard, you know what I mean? But this is just really interesting because, you know, Black Diablos first appeared during the Diablos Invasion event all the way back on September 23rd and 24th, 2023. I remember the rates were just as rare as they are if you find them out on the field. So I found 16 during this weekend, and after doing some deep analysis, I was like, you know what? It's worth to put all my eggs in a basket for this weapon just because it's so dang good. However, this also means that for over 7 months, Sarah Coilbender has reigned supreme. So it has been a really long time since this weapon has started just pew-pewing its way to victory, literally against everything. Let the fools be destroyed by the power you and I possess. If you know that anime, we could be best friends, because that's actually my favorite anime of all time. Anyways, here we have the Black Diablo's Bow versus other weapons. And the reason why I play that clip is because that's an incredibly powerful attack, just like we look at an incredibly powerful weapon. Here we take a look at the Black Diablo's damage versus other weapons, where the elemental weapons are going up against a large monster that is weak to that element. So, the usual thing for elemental weapons, it's a 100% boost, unless it's Devil Joe, which is 150%. But this is from MHN.Quest, and it was updated to accurately compensate for Black Diablo's charge level 3, shooting damage level 4. So before y'all say that like this dude doesn't really work or try to make this thing as accurate as possible, you are wrong. So, per the results, Black Diablo's Bow can still theoretically edge out weapons that are elementally strong against a monster. This is why so many people are mad about the Black Diablo's Bow if you don't have it, because everyone's like, it limits your gameplay and whatnot or anything like that. But here's the thing, and this is true for most every game, even gachas. Meta is meta. Now, given this thing is incredibly hard to attain regardless at grade 10, 5 out of 10 out of 5, but if you have the means to do it, or if you're crazy enough like I am to do it, why not? So, again, this is the comparison to an elemental weak weapon. The strongest thunder weapon as right now in the game is Zinogre. And as you see, even though the Black Diablo's Bow only barely edges it out by a theoretical 100 points, it's still really freaking strong. The fact that you can go after a subspecies and not have to grind for hats equals just how powerful the Black Diablo's Bow is. Well, given it still takes a hell of a lot more resources than the Zinogre one actually does, and we'll look at that in a sec. But just a review of this, it shows just how powerful the Black Diablo's Bow can be against a lot of monsters, even though you put it up against a weapon that is elementally strong against it. But King of Charmanders, what about builds? All you do is spread misinformation, even though I'm drawing it from a resource. You know, I'm not gonna be right all the time. I'm perfectly fine with that. But if I'm drawing for some data that's pretty dang accurate and supported by some players that this thing is really that good, are you sure you're checking me, or you should check yourself? Anyways, like I mentioned, here we have Black Diablo's Bow builds versus the other weapons. So that's the weapons that are standalone from what we saw before. Now here's builds. So the Black Diablo's power even stays when it is compared to the builds of elementally strong weapons. As you see, it still has more power theoretically in a practical assessment than Zinogre and Tobi Kadachi, again, for an elemental strong weapon. Per the results on the left, Black Diablo's Bow can still win versus elemental strong weapons in a drawn-out battle. So if we draw this out, Latent Power 2 isn't going to proc until a certain amount, but even then, again, if it's a long drawn-out battle, you see here, it can still edge out the elemental strong weapons. As the Black Diablo's charge level 3 shooting damage level 4 compensation is calculated, this is some crazy results. You don't see that little blue line below? Like I mentioned before, Sammy from MemoryChain.quest calculated the compensation from having a faster charge time for Pierce level 4. So this is pretty dang accurate. Again, if we do it theoretically across a drawn out battle. Next, we move on to the cost of the Black Diablo's bow versus boss monsters of updates. As we see here, the amount of resources that it takes for Black Diablos to max versus a boss monster like Zinogre requires more. So we're pitting the Black Diablo's bow from a fresh forge to maximum, which is 10.5 or grade 10 level 5 out of 5 to Zinogre. Above is Black Diablos, the bottom is Zinogre. And as you see, Black Diablos does require more materials. However, outside of events, both monsters are not encounterable at high rates. So unless you're playing an event like the Roar of the Desert Diablos for Black Diablos or the upcoming Bolt of the Wilds for Zinogre, you're not going to see them out in the field and you're not going to be able to take out a lot of them. However, Black Diablos is a lot more accessible during events, but requires 63 more Rarity 6 materials to max to grade 10, level 5 out of 5. What I mean by that is that Black Diablos has had, I believe, like 3 events versus actually 4 with Lunar New Year. So Black Diablos has had more events than Zinogre has. So you might have a lot more, or likely have a lot more than Zinogre, which is locked to hats until, like I mentioned, Bolt of the Wilds event, which is coming in the future. However, to make it more of a perspective, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, it's so easy for players to do it. No, if you want to max these, this estimate right here doesn't even include the cost of obtaining Wyvern Gem Shards and Zenny. So, I doubled all my drops, so technically I only needed to do 45 Wyvern Gem Shards in addition to the event Wyvern Gem Shards. But regardless, as you see here, this is ridiculously hard to do. So as a pay-to player, I locked myself to a certain degree so I couldn't get as much Wyvern Gem Shards because I stayed at 8 stars on purpose for a video coming in the future. So, yes, it can be very difficult to obtain either one of these no matter how you spin it. So those of you that do have this, they do deserve the respect because the amount you have to grind for these is absolutely ridiculous for the average player. But the reign of the Black Diablos will cannot stand forever. So what's next? What's the next meta? Well, with Elder Dragons on the horizon, it's time for a new meta to take the game by storm. Black Diablo's bow has been the ultimate weapon for a long time. Although it is one of the hardest monsters in the game as far as a subspecies to take on, it should not trump Elder Dragons. This would reward hunters who are willing to work hard for Elder Dragons to be rewarded like those who went after Black Diablos. If you're going after the hardest monster in the game, the hardest monsters in the game should have better weapons than the other ones before them. So, let's hope that Kushala, which is heavily hinted to be the first Elder Dragon, is going to have stronger weapons than Black Diablos. Now here's the thing, Monster Hunter Now is thought to go based off of Monster Hunter World. So Kushala would not have a sword and shield or a longsword. Like you see right here, there's no sword and shield or longsword for World or / Iceborne. However, don't worry if you main those weapons, I'm going to get to that fact in a sec. Now that answers the question, is Monster Hunter Now just solely based off of World? Well, while Monster Hunter Now has largely been based off of World and Iceborne, there is evidence that shows Capcom is branching out to other titles. So as we see, we have the roadmap right here for future updates. Leviathans will be introduced in the next major update for June, and there's no Leviathans in World / Iceborne, so since Leviathans are coming during the summer, we can confirm that there will be a possibility from monsters from all Monster Hunter titles. So not just World / Iceborne, but it's likely they're going to draw from all the other ones, which is really awesome because that opens up so many doors of possibilities. With the data we have from before, Kushala Daora's possible weapon types in Monster Hunter Now is what we're going to explore next. With the Monster Hunter Now having the possibility of more weapon types, it's likely Kushala will have all current weapon types in the game. Because there are, as you see for this one, there are weapon types in other titles for the longsword and the sword and shield. This means longsword and sword and shield mains can rest easy knowing there's a good chance they won't be left behind. Well, if you're going to release the first Elder Dragon, you might as well have it for all weapons so that people don't complain. They're like, oh my gosh, let's switch out. Or why didn't you have this one for this weapon? So I'm pretty confident they're working on this for a long time, so we should have all weapon types. I really hope we do. If they don't, hopefully this video encourages them to do so. But let's hope other Elder Dragon weapons' strength are also being considered as the strongest in the game. There are a lot of Elder Dragons in the main series, so let's hope they match or exceed Black Diablo's bow, as well as the Elder Dragons that are the strongest in the game, having more power than either the Black Diablo's bow or Kushala, or other Elder Dragons. You know, the strongest Elder Dragons should have the strongest weapons, theoretically. But whatever floats your boat. However, like I mentioned, there's a lot of possibilities, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store for us in the future. So what are you hoping for when Elder Dragons come out? Let me know in the comments. Either way, I'm excited to finally see the power of the first Elder Dragon weapons and armor. We've been having Elder Dragons speculated forever. That Capcom stream day 2 showed that little carrot, and I am waiting for that carrot to finally manifest itself. But again, I'm hoping it's stronger than Black Diablo's bow, or at least on par with it. Theoretically, it should be stronger, but we'll see what happens. That being said, please do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.